It is now time to add some color to create this dimension that we did with the engraving that we did on our picture, and we're going to add these colors to really highlight what we just got through doing. And the way we do that is adding some kind of a glaze that will go inside of those crevices. And in your arsenal, I'm sure you have something you could use. Now, a traditional encaustic artist would probably be using these kinds of oil paint sticks. Now, you may or may not already have some of these. They're not necessary for doing this when it comes to our mixed media / junk journal covers. But if you have them, you can use these. They're not cheap, so don't run out and buy them if you don't have some. Also, what's used is the pan pastels. So if you have some of those, you can use that to add color to here. And what I use a lot, because I have a lot of them and they're cheap, I find them all the time at thrift stores, and it's just the oil pastels. So anytime I run across a little bag of these oil pastels, I grab them. But they're super, super cheap if you want to buy them over at Michael's and Joann's and Hobby Lobby. If you get the off-brand, you can get something like 24 of these for like $3 or $4, and they also have them on Amazon. So if you don't have any of these and you care to get some. Also, they come in some metallics. I didn't realize that, but I happened to get some of these when I spotted them at some thrift stores, so I have those. And then if all else fails, you probably have just regular old crayons, and those are made out of wax too. Now, they don't have the resin inside, but if you use those colors and then put a top coat over it with the resin, with the encaustic medium, which has the resin in it, then you are protecting it. It won't be all soft. It will harden up. We'll do an example of that later. Now, if all else fails and you don't have any of those, I'm sure you have some acrylic paint. So I am going to show how to do this with the acrylic paint so that everybody for sure will be able to do this step with the supplies that they already have on hand, because that's always really important to me. I don't like, to show you something, whoops, let me put this out of the shadow, to show you something that you have to run out and get even more stuff. I'm trying to show how to do this in an economical way, because this particular art form is very costly. So this is what I do, is I get a little bit of acrylic paint and you just water it down so it's more like a wash. And you play around with it and get it as thin as you want. Once you do it one time, you'll get a feel for it. You'll know how thin you might want it. Maybe just a little thicker than, watercolor. And then go into your areas that you did your stamping. Look how cool that already looks. And where you did some of that, around your flowers or whatever it is you decided to do on yours. And if you see it's not going in those little carvings there, then maybe you want to add a little bit more water to your paint, so it'll allow it to get in there. And then get yourself a wipe. And then just start wiping away. And look how cool that looks already. Now I like it to get inside of all the little crevices because I don't want it to be white, and so I like that. But if you want a little bit more of your background to be a little lighter and not have that brown on everything, you just wipe that off. It's very simple. And then you just keep building up on wherever you did that. I can't remember now where I did it. You just rub your finger on there, you'll find it. I know I did it across there. Ooh, bug. I had my windows, of course my windows have a screen, but my back door to my studio right now doesn't have a screen. We took it off this winter because it was old and falling apart, and we haven't replaced it. So when I have my back door open during the day, you know what happens. The bugs. Okay, so now after you've wiped it, and if you think you want it a little darker, then we just do it again until we're satisfied with the look that we get. And just do this lightly because you don't want to get inside of that groove and wipe it off. And I think I want some more in here. Very cool. I think I'm happy with how that is so far. Now I think I might want to put a little more definition here. I didn't do that there. I think I'll do that. Now it's gotten a lot drier, so it's a little harder to do that, but you still can. Now if you decide to do that after you've added color, do not put this wax back into your original wax, because now you've got colors and you don't want to contaminate your wax with some colors. Okay. All right. Let's put some in there. Yeah, that looks better. I like that better already. Okay. Now I have to decide if I want to put some on this lace, because then it will really show the texture of the lace. I kind of like it how it is, but just for the sake of showing what it would look like if we put it on here, let's experiment. Better to experiment on mine than for you to think, oh, I'll experiment, and then you don't like it. Oh, not that much stayed in there anyway, so I kind of like it. Actually, I might want some more in there. Let's see. I think what it is the wax covered it up so much. There's not too much to fill in, which is fine. All right, so this is coming along just fine. Is it done? It could be done, but let's play around with it some more. Let's see what happens. You may have some oil pastels, and if you don't, like I say, they're very inexpensive. And just so you can see what the oil pastels do, let me wipe this down with something dry. Just trying to pick up the moisture that might be left over from the paint so that the oil pastel will stick. All right, I was going to do brown, but let's do something a little more colorful. We've already got brown in there. I'll probably use a little bit of yellow with a little bit of well, we'll see. Let's just play around. Let's put some of this yellow first. And if all you have is crayons, if you have the pastels, if you have the stick pastels too, it doesn't have to be the pan pastels. Those would work. Okay, look how cool that is turning out already. Highlighting that yellow. Now, if that's too bright for you, then we can come and we can tone that down with another darker color. You could pick a brown, you could pick a rust. I like that. And if you don't like using your fingers, you could use a cloth to do this. Except for this is wet. Use a dry cloth. I just like playing with my fingers. But I know not everybody likes to do that. All right. now you could say that's done, right? Or if you want to tone it down even a little bit more, you can come in with a chocolate brown, and that would tone it down even a little bit more. Looking pretty good. Now, what you might do at this point, you could leave it, or you can mess with it some more. Let's put, not everywhere, but just here and there, a little bit of this green, just to bring in some of that green. Okay, I think I like it. Okay, so now what we do, once you've decided, you've played enough with it and it's pretty much the way that you want it, to make it all part together, so that all the different levels are one. A little too bright there. Then we melt it so it blends in with the rest of, and just kind of keep it on the edges because you don't want to undo maybe the stamping or different things you might have done. So as soon as you see it glisten, pull back. You don't want to mess up your other work. And there you go. You're all set. Let that dry. Looks pretty good. All right, so let that dry, and then we're going to be ready to see how we're going to position it on to our book cover and how we can embellish that and make that a really cool look. So we'll do that as soon as this has all cooled down.